Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. We're gonna be animating an axe.
Dat was oké.
Welcome back. We'll be using traditional black and white again. I think this will be the last one, and then we can at the end start applying these colors. I'm working with colors, but NMM in and of itself is basically understanding which colors to use in order to get a certain believability to gold or anything else. But we'll start off with black and white because it gives a nice contrast. Oh, silver here. And gives you an easy way to make it look beautiful.
B-E-A, beautiful.
B-E-A beautiful. Now, I'm gonna apply a lot of this. We'll not have the paper on screen on which I dilute my brushes to make glazes. You've got two clips. Hello, welcome in, Moon. How you doing?
Hey man, how's it going? Hi
I'm
Ross.
doing. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm alright. I am uh I've been busy.
Good busy,
You don't
bad
say.
busy.
Mostly the good kind of busy.
Good.
I have customers miniature I've been working on, and then I've been trying to work on my own stuff as well. I
Good,
have
man.
other commissions I have to finish before the end of the week.
Very nice, my dude.
Man's working hard.
Or hardly working.
Alright.
Well, that's
A
my
mixture,
job.
a mixture of both. Also my girlfriend and I have been holding off on watching Andor, the Star Wars TV show,
Yeah.
up until this week because tomorrow's the finale.
You like to edge yourself.
Yeah.
Well, usually you let the wife do that, but be strong.
They're doing it together, so you know.
Listen, we edge each other together. That's fine.
Very nice.
So yeah, and then because it's recommended you watch Andor season 2 all the way, and then you watch Rogue One. So we'll be doing that.
Rogi Juan.
Rogue Juan. We'll be watching that.
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan can blow me.
Okay.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah. To each their own, obviously.
Hmm.
It's a wordplay brush.
Huh?
It's a wordplay brush.
Bro. I know. Thank you for explaining the joke.
Captain Obvious to the rescue.
We'll not be talking you guys through the process, as basically the entire process was explained in two videos. But obviously, we start off with the basics: dark and light.
And this is for the axe, right?
The axe. See.
The axe.
The
So
axe.
I did have one question
Go ahead, man.
for like non-metallic metals in general.
Yeah.
Where do you know to put the light? Because the best way I've been trying to do it is with reference photos, with things that I've been trying to do.
Yeah.
But is there like any intuitive way to just know, or is it just after doing it for X amount of time or X amount of pieces that you just understand where things need to be?
Well, I feel like at some point it becomes intuitive because you start to understand how light would work. But I also feel that there is always, like for instance, if you look at the model now, we've got light coming from here, from this angle. We've got light coming from this angle, from here.
Mm-hmm.
So if I turn the model and I look at it from the side, it should give me a general idea of how the shadows fall. Now, how can you make this work properly for you? Is if you take out your phone. Give me a second. This is also the reason why I picked this axe. there's already a bit of a zenithal highlighting thing going on here, but it will only help. So now we've taken pictures of the model from different angles. I missed a phone call. What the fuck? Give me 1 second. Give me a moment. A friend of mine called me. Give me 1 sec.
More.
I thought it would be. He never like calls me, so I was like, "What the hell?" He's not picking up. So I've taken the pictures. I will share them to the general, the Patreon general.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you watch the model now, you can already see, like at the back, the lower end of the back,
Mm-hmm.
just considering the light coming from the top, you should already have a distinct feeling for where the shadows would be. Is that correct? Or can you not read that from
No,
the picture?
I get it. I see that you've done like a zenithal, like with brown as like your base, and then like a tan or like a whitish tan, whitish yellow,
Yeah.
and then you can kind of see how that goes. Yeah,
So I don't know if you have an airbrush.
I do.
So if you start off your base coat with your base colors, and then use a like supporting color for the highlight and spray it from one end, it should already give you a very clear indication of, okay, yeah, if my light source comes from this direction, because that's where you sprayed the model from,
Mm-hmm.
it should already give you an idea. What you could also do is make your model wet and then make pictures of it. So you have an idea if you can like control the light source, for example. That way you have an idea of where the light would go. And then basically from there on, it's also a feeling of trying to catch like suspense of disbelief slash would be reality because you're working on a 3D static model.
You need to pick your angle, your viewing angle.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of the practice pieces that I just do a singular light source in order to make it easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Work
just
on the
straight from the top
blending and
usually.
stuff. Yeah. So if you look at the model now, for example, the helmet gives a really distinct shadow under the horn, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what you would do is you'd go from really dark gray to almost white at the front and glaze those two into each other, or wet blend them, for example. Does that answer your question, or did I misunderstand?
Oh no, it did answer it. Thank you. One of the main things though I am trying to figure out is when you see a lot of non-metallic metal, whether it's like painting or whether it's like a digital image or like a sculpted piece, and you're seeing someone paint it.
Yeah.
Where where are they deciding to put the light, and specifically when something is shiny, what's their thought process on putting a like a bright spot somewhere or a line or like a reflection on
Because
something?
light always travels in straight lines. You kind of want to respect the the source and then the distance from the source in order to indicate how the surfaces reflect. So
Mhm.
I think somebody hold up, let me
I just want to be able to, when I do non-metallic metals, I want to make sure it makes sense.
Yeah,
because
I
I feel like
understand.
sometimes when I do non-metallics, I paint something and it's like it doesn't make any sense, or it's like it's confusing. Like why was it painted this way?
Give me 1 second. I'll grab an
Do you have an
example.
example? Yeah.
I'll
Do you
grab
have
an
like an example of your work, your own work that you're struggling with?
Um, sure. I think I could probably post
Grab the
something.
bull by the horns here.
Grab the bull by the horns.
By the hornies.
And yank real hard.
Yankee. Hee-haw.
I'm thinking of this example by Berserk Frog. So, for example, the way that he has done the shadows on this end, and then the shadows on this end, these do not correspond, even though the surfaces are in the exact same angle.
Mhm.
But it being flat, you would have you would be able to like just cross section this entire area and make the bright spots on the bottom, for example. So this would read as unnatural.
Mhm.
But because the basically the light would be coming from like the top end, front end, these entire like this is a flat surface, flat surface, flat surface, flat surface, and they're all angled the same way. Also, there's no shadow here or no bright spot here, but this is a different surface than the surface below it. So you could basically continue that entire line as like a cross section of the top. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
But if you have an example of your own work, you know, we can grab that bull by the horns
And pull
Yee.
real hard.
and yoink it.
Yee.
I mean, I did finish this. I'll take a picture of it. You know the Sister of Battle bust. I finished it, or at
Okay.
least what I can finished. Because I didn't want to go kind of too nuts with it.
Nuts.
It was also a practice piece, so.
I do intend on giving it to my girlfriend though, so
Well, don't tell her you didn't actually, like, you know.
no, I'd say I put a decent amount of time into it.
Well, it was
No,
looking
but, like,
good when you were
yeah,
sharing the pictures.
I'm taking pictures, so I'll show you.
Sure.
No, but like, I know there's some things I need to work on. Some things I don't think I got right. Then here, I'll put them into general.
Sure.
With this one, I only realistically did like a single like direction light, and I kind of cheated some of the lights to make it look a little, add some visual interest.
Sorry for coughing, man. I'm just not feeling it.
You're good.
I got a very, very nasty cold. Let me. This will be captured, just so you know, in the clip.
That's fine.
In all honesty, I think this looks alright. I just think that the highlight on this end of her face
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be there as sharp as it is now.
Okay.
This is really distracting.
Gotcha.
taking it that this is basically the inside of her upper lip area, like it is here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the highlight would be on the other end, and it wouldn't be as bright. It would be more like a V shape.
Hmm.
But it, because the light source is very bright on this end, here it's bending, so I would straighten that out.
Okay.
But I
Yeah,
think,
gather it at the top corner there.
yeah,
Or
over
the,
here.
the top. Yeah, and then drag it down to the bottom left on the picture.
I got you. I see what you mean.
And then here, this does correspond properly. However,
It doesn't correspond with the rest on the
with the
color.
rest of the, yeah, but also with the rest of the bolter. So if there's a bright light source here, reflecting here, then it would also be on the casing, the red.
Yep.
It would also be over here. It would also be on this little end. Because that's basically what I'm reading now is that you've got basically 1, 2, and then there should be a third light source over here.
Okay.
And you can,
an image.
huh?
Patron channel. There we go. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So in general, I mean the transitions, the color transitions and stuff look really good. You gotta respect basically when you're painting OSL / non-metallic metal, you're always working from your source. So the light source. Let me grab the model so I can actually see how I... So, let me show you. My face was done quickly and dirty. However, if you look at... There's a shadow underneath here.
Mm-hmm.
And you've put the highlight, I believe, on this end of the cheekbone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you should put that highlight on this end. And you could take that from the... So put the highlight on the other end. And then make it correspond with this light source and this light source. Because if I look at my model, this would be a bit of a dull one. But this is quite a bright light source, so you'd want to correspond that on the face as well. I like that you did the tattoo though, that looks really, really nice.
Thank you. I was internally screaming the entire time.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You know how to deal with it. I feel like you just have a confidence issue. No offense.
No, I believe that. No, but the one thing that I appreciate is that I like the honesty. And just yeah, you need to do this, this, and this because this doesn't look right or this is whatever, you know.
So, if you leave the model as is, what I would suggest is just adding the highlight on the red over here first.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would do in your case is keep just a thin dark line in between here, like this color that you put on this end. You put it in the middle and then work like the red brightness that you have over here, work it in on this end as well. And then keep a thin dark line over here to correspond with this one again, and then a small bright red line over here. Not too thick, but just showing that there's about to be a highlight on this end, or a reflection on this end of the gun. You also want to do that on the top railing of the gun.
Mm-hmm.
So basically prolong that line. And then in the face, try to... this highlight over here is really nice underneath her eye. It does give her a bit of a baggy eye, so I would highlight the lower eyelid as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then also on the cheekbone, try to paint a like fat triangle to make it correspond with this highlight over here and this highlight over here. And just paint a little bit of a shadow in here instead of a highlight. And maybe
So-
highlight.
sorry,
Huh?
Where again? Yeah, your cursor's not showing up.
What the?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I was like, am I watching a picture? What's happening?
Did it just vanish?
There you go.
Yeah, that is weird. Basically, replace or move the highlight from here on her face to this end.
Uh-huh.
Have a shadow, small shadow underneath here. You could highlight the upper top of her lips like you did here. But I feel like you can have her face rather bright still because you basically are working with 3, maybe even 4 light sources.
Mm.
I can grab you. Hold on, maybe I can grab you
I
Photoshop.
think you can almost get rid of that whole highlight altogether on the left on the lips.
Yeah.
Darken it,
Mm.
and it wouldn't bother anyone.
See, that's also the thing. At this point, you're not really looking for any form of perfection. Basically, what we're trying to look for is if somebody looks at the model, are you reading exactly what you're trying to communicate? If that makes sense.
I'm just adding some changes, mainly to the bolter. I also fixed the highlight issue on the face.
The fuck? Okay, that's kind of weird. It's not showing. Give me a sec. Here we go. So because light travels in straight lines,
Yeah, just make a dot at the top right somewhere. Just draw straight lines over the armor. From that dot, I guess.
well, what I would want to do is
Oh, good.
that's Dutch for I done fucked up, dog. Now, your model is kind of angled.
Mm-hmm.
My God. It's going to be a little bit of play in here, but this is basically the lines with which you would use your highlights.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would stick that one. Thin dark line over there.
And I remove the rest of the highlight on the right.
Yeah. second. No, thinking straight.
I think even the dark line can go.
Well, the thing is, there is a little bit of a...
Groove.
Yeah, there's a groove there on the model. You kind of want a small shadow in there, but you can glaze over it to make it subtle. Because basically, that's the groove on the right side that she has on the left side as well.
But is it curved or should it be straight?
It looks curved, but it's basically like the muscles at the top of the mouth. But to be fair, it's kind of sculpted crooked on the model.
Yeah, because she's not smirking. She's not pulling those muscles at that side.
No, but there is a groove there.
The Emperor's New Groove.
Don't want it too deep, otherwise she's gonna look chubby as fuck.
Oh lord, she thick.
Oh Lord, he come.
God damn.
God damn. She needs some milk.
Don't die, man. Use that
Use force
Use
or something.
use that Dutch healthcare.
Probably just tell me to grab an aspirin. Stop my bitching.
Yeah.
Paracetamol, yeah.
Ignore this fat dark line over here. I don't know when I put it down there, but... The highlight on the top of her lip could be there.
Mm-hmm.
I would just make it a little bit more subtle on this end. But the highlight would be like here as well, because you have that light source coming from there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So these would be a little bit more subtle. Even with Photoshop, I'm working with very, very thin layers now. You can have that highlight on top of that ridge, but you kind of want to make it a little bit more subtle. Because that would correspond... Basically what you've got here is you've got the light source coming from this angle, over here, this one. Now you gotta want to bring in this one as well, because these are almost as bright on the gun.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically where I would take it, for starters. And then my gut feeling would tell me, okay, probably looking at the model I have here. Jesus. Let me see.
Look a share, look a son.
Yeah, I would soften the shadows in the face a little bit on the left-hand side, because you've got most of your light sources coming from the left side,
Right
one
side.
from the right side. What?
Yeah, I'll go. Sorry.
So I would bring in a little bit more shadow on the right side of her face and brighten up the left side of her face, making all the shadows look a bit more subtle.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem at all. Remind me to cut this from the clip so I can send it to you so you have a personal, like, something to look back for if you want. If you want. If you don't want to, just, I don't know, tell me to shut the fuck up.
You're good. Thank you. Appreciate it. You can leave it. You can leave it in though, so it's a good lesson for everybody.
Okay.
I know there are some out there who listen to these like a lot of questions.
Yeah, yeah, that is also correct. I saved it for you. I'll send you the image to you after stream.
Hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all, dude. Thou asketh, we produceth.
Hmm. Yeah, that looks a lot better.
Oh, you're already like using it, producing it.
Yep.
Nice.
Using, producing, abusing.
I'll let that dry so it's not super shiny. But I knew something was wrong with it. I just didn't know what.
It's not necessarily wrong, but it's something that starts.
At least it caught your eye.
Hmm.
The first step is like recognizing that there's something off, right?
Yeah,
And then it's trying to see and learn what corrective measures you need to do to make it right by your eye and mind.
Right. Exactly. And thanks, Ross, for the imagine like a ball of light, and then there's
A
a
ball of
line
light from the
down.
corner where you just draw straight lines over the armor, over everything.
Exactly, and that helps so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
balls of light.
That's how I usually do all my models. So I just grab a point around the model and just imagine from there.
you. Hmm.
Balls.
Balls on your face.
Straight line over your face.
Hmm.
Balls. Yeah, basically the axe is the same thing that we've done before, but shaped.
Different.
But to be fair with you, Moon, basically what I do in general, like doing these like tutorials is very challenging because now I have to actually think about what it is that I'm doing.
Hmm.
Normally I just do.
Wing it. Yep. Trust your
Same,
feelings.
same.
Yeah, I just trust my gut.
Same.
But now I have to
I
think
mean,
about, wait, what the hell am I actually doing, dog?
right.
My
Well,
brain.
it reminds me of like imagine you're cooking.
Yeah.
A lot of cooking is just by feel. You just know when something's correct. Of course, when you're trying to teach other people, you have to follow some sort of or make a recipe that like makes sense.
Yeah.
And because I mean, imagine if you're trying to follow a recipe after doing the same thing for 15 years, you probably not doing it very well.
Well, that's also my issue with cooking. My mother-in-law always asks for recipes, and I'm like, yeah, I use these ingredients, and then she's like, yeah, but how much? I don't fucking know until it tastes right. Yeah, but when does it taste right, bruh?
Do you have a tongue?
Right.
Use it.
I'm the same. I'm the same way with my cooking. It's like I'll make something for my family. They're asking, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "I did these things." And they're like, "Oh, like could you give me a recipe for it?" And I'm like, "I'll literally have to come up with it on the spot because I don't use a recipe.
Bunch
It's
of
just
amateurs.
it's just a certain amount of stuff that goes in order, and I don't really gauge how much or how little I use. I just use it
Yeah, I always
until it
do.
tastes right."
Yeah, well, basically, NMM at some point becomes the same.
Hmm.
No.
That's also the annoying thing about it. I could have started off these classes with a lot of theory, but I feel like simply doing and creating a certain feel for it will help you in the long run better than starting off with the theory because now you got all these questions, right?
Hmm.
Not everyone can imagine with colors, apparently.
Well, that's also a thing, yeah.
Not everyone teaches well from just theory alone. Different folks, different strokes.
Uh,
Don't go too hard in the paint. I don't think your lungs can take it.
I feel like this cold is getting worse before it's going to get better. So annoying.
Mm.
So, my thought process with this axe, is because you asked me,
Asked me.
is okay, how does the general environment reflect on the axe if I just take the light source from above and have like the ground surrounding him?
Hmm. Well, one thing I see a lot, and something I want to start doing, is I start seeing people when they do armor, they'll have a bunch of different, lights or like light source. They have like one major light source, but then a bunch of minor light sources with different colors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Green,
secondary
blue,
reflections.
red. Yeah, and I want to start introducing that into my work.
If you have some spare money, or if you really want to, I don't know, invest into getting good at NMM, I can highly recommend Tomer Reader's Fun's Patreon. I mean, I wouldn't mind it if you froze your account with mine, because I feel like at some point you gotta fly out. You gotta learn.
Hmm. Well, there's been a couple of artists I've been trying to essentially copy. And
Well, in all fairness, if you feel like they can teach you more or in a different way, I'd say go for it. Invest in yourself.
mhm.
I will cry a little bit, but I always do.
Be a little bit.
Poop a little bit.
I mean, I'm not going anywhere.
But in all seriousness, I wouldn't mind. I understand. I did the same thing, right? Like you gotta grow some way. And at some point, you should be. My idea was to have people like have a place for people to get started on this type of stuff and then move from there. I know I'm not the best.
You
You're
suck.
you're very informative. I actually like the criticism you give because it's fair, but it's not too harsh, but it's very fair.
Well, that's good to hear.
My main worry for like NMM or just other things is allowing my work to get um too bland, too monotone.
Yes, however, you need to go there first before you can go to the other areas where you basically become like a more or less a master of it, because you kind of need to understand why it's bland.
Hmm.
So what I see, like for example, if you take what's it called again, heavy metal painting.
Hmm.
I think heavy metal painting is not. Uh, it's almost like a paint by colors type of deal. Not to shit on heavy metal painters. I mean, I just
No,
don't
no, no.
like.
Please do, please do.
No, but I feel like there's a lot to be gained when looking at heavy metal paint jobs, and at some point you've mastered heavy metal, right?
No. To be perfectly honest, I mean, I did it. Could I do it proficiently? Yes. Do I want to? No.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Some people really enjoy heavy metal
Right.
because it is so much. I mean,
Very
they'll
within borders.
what?
It's very bordered. It's very
Yeah,
clear, like
uh,
what you need to do.
there is different styles of heavy metal, obviously, but at some point, heavy metal is just heavy metal. But I feel like a lot of people have the artistry to then start pushing the heavy metal, because heavy metal is a good way to easily understand like highlights and stuff like that.
Hmm. I
Because
mean,
you start off highlighting the entire thing, and then at some point you start like, hold on, wait a minute. If the light would be coming from this direction, then there wouldn't be a highlight on this end. And with heavy metal, you basically just choose not to highlight a certain bit then.
right. Well, like I've seen like heavy metal turn into like volumetric highlighting, which is basically what NMM is.
Yeah,
But like I used to do I used to do like heavy metal because I was starting out, and I
yeah,
talked to a lot of people who are like, ever since I started doing the whole commission thing, a lot of people who are interested in heavy metal, they like it because it's very clean.
yeah.
So they want people to do that for them because it's such a very clean and visually appealing art style.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like incredibly boring.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, as a painter, heavy metal, I at some point I would be like, okay, yeah, I'm fucking done with this shit.
Yeah. Well, what was it like? There's I forget his name, but he has a YouTube channel and he just talks about here's volumetric highlighting, which is essentially like here's your introduction to NMM, which you can start by doing heavy metal style and then it just kind of progresses.
Yeah,
The main thing for me is I want to start introducing more color into my light because I do find that your standard like NMM with a single or like a general light source that's just one color, it's very appealing and it's very nice. But I don't know, over time I feel like it's just really bland and boring.
yeah. Well, the next step would be to make like colored lights and have surfaces reflect certain colors. When a blue light would have a green surface, there's a different color
Hmm.
that would come back.
Yeah. Then on top of that, there's like I want to start doing more not chrome but just silver.
Yeah,
and I know silver reflects a lot of light, basically like almost 1-to-1 because it's a very neutral color. And I want to start doing stuff like that, but also I want to start doing more. I want to stop worrying about how smooth the blend is, and I want to be more concerned with where the light is supposed to be.
Uh-huh.
And then blending comes afterward, because I felt for a very long time that
Hold on. I think I have
making my colors very blended or very smooth was super important. And now I'm realizing it's really not that important.
No, it's not as important as people make it out to be. Like, good blending is nice, but especially on armor, you can just scratch it on half the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it would still look good.
Like, one thing I want to do for myself, at least for some practice, is I have a bunch of Star Wars stuff I want to work on.
Yeah.
And one thing I notice when it comes to like my older Star Wars work is it's very easy to fall into this monotone color trap where you're using all of these different colors, but they're all like, this is like a dark green for the shadow, this is a green for the base color, and then like a light green for the highlight, or like maybe a yellow. I
Uh-huh.
want to start, doing like, you know, I have like a dark blue for the shadow, I have like a red for the base, and then I want to have like an orange or yellow for a highlight, and then it peaks out into like this bright yellow. I want to start doing more stuff like that than just a very almost like white. It's almost like I want to get away from like slap chop, where it's just bright color, and then it's just a darker version of that color for
Yeah.
the shadow. Because I don't, like, don't get me wrong, I do feel like in some scenarios it is what the color is supposed to be, but I find that when everything is like that, things become very boring.
Yeah. I understand.
Like, I wonder if there's a. I can show. Actually, I can show you guys a picture of like a Darth Vader I did a while ago.
Darth Vader.
It's on my Instagram, but
Really here to cut me off. Turn
like,
me away.
so this Darth Vader I did it, and people really like it. It's I would say it's one of those things that sort of encapsulates, how far I've come. But at the same time, I know that it's a very boring piece.
Yeah, but you basically suffered the same thing as Fawcett does. You know where to grow. You can't take like a compliment because you know where to go and bring it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this is just like, in all honesty, this Darth Vader is just a very well painted paint job. You know where you can bring it, but you need to silence that voice in the back of your head.
Appreciate it. Like, I want to start doing more. Like, I do appreciate the compliment. However, I do want to start pushing, like, in terms of color. Yeah, I want it to be just more.
Yeah, but that would be a next step, right? So you gotta allow yourself a little bit of breather in between models before you start integrating the feedback that you received on this one.
Mm-hmm.
But you can savor the compliment, and you should, because otherwise it's going to be like a long road of suffering.
This is true. Yeah, like one of the reasons why I showed this Darth Vader is because I'm working on another Darth Vader, but instead it's instead of with Vader's helmet, it's with Anakin's face.
Uh huh.
Because I'm doing like an alternate history Star Wars like miniature sort of set.
Okay.
That's like a fun little thing, and for it I have I just wanted to do red, the red and like the contrast a bit nicer. I don't want it to be as overpowering as I have it on that miniature.
Uh huh.
And I want more blues and um I want more blues and whites and things to show up. I don't want it to just be like, oh yeah, here's all red, then black, and then a little bit of stuff here and there.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand this. You gotta be receiving of the compliment on the previous piece, so you in peace can work on the next one. That makes sense.
Hmm. I also think one thing I need to do is I need to have more reference pictures
I think that
whenever I
would
paint
be
things.
reference pictures are always a good idea.
Yeah. Whenever I try to paint from my memory or head, it it can look nice, but it always usually never looks as good as it could be. If I have like a reference I'm trying to copy from, it usually looks a bit nicer, or at least I have a goal I can try to attain to get,
Yeah.
you know.
God damn.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna finish the entire session today though.
He's just not feeling well.
Nah, man. And the little guy's been keeping me up as well because he's got a cold as well.
Oh no.
So it's basically just a bunch of us here in house, combating the fever, combating the cold.
Damn.
Aqua. Regia.
You know, one thing I also need to learn how to do, or I want to learn how to do, is trying to put micro scratches into my stuff.
Well, like the way that I'm doing the blade now is just scratching it on. It's not necessarily like glazing or blending or whatever. It's just
Right.
scratching one into the other. Now this axe also lends itself to it because, you know, it's not regal or anything. It's a chaos axe, so.
Right. I don't know. I like the look of worn things. I like the contrast between like a very worn object
Yeah.
versus a like a worn object versus something that's like pristine. Like it's shiny, it's nice, it's cleaned up, but it looks like it's been used.
Yeah.
Like it's not perfect.
I mean, you can just do that by scratching the information on there. You don't have to.
Mhm.
Dude, I don't know who. I can't remember who introduced me to Sleep Token. But my god, do these guys make beautiful music.
Wasn't it Zaku?
I think it was Zaku, yeah.
Like
Means
last time we had Patreon.
could be, yeah.
At least I remember that. I remember.
I remember. Uh, 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 uh. Uh, uh. Reach out.
You know, one thing I've also noticed too is that a lot of non-metallic metal artists um, will really try to focus on not just the juxtaposition of like color, but also light,
Yeah.
and they'll
Limit.
get like some amazing like super bright like light source that it doesn't even look like it's real.
Yeah.
Photoshop.
I mean, I guess maybe, but I want to try to start pushing like light as if it like the light or the light source I'm trying to make itself look like it's a very bright thing when you look at it.
Just know that look for the prize-winning artists and don't follow examples on Instagram.
Oh, I'm not following like tutorials. I'm just looking at like the stuff I like
Yeah.
and the things I want to emulate, and then I go from there. I don't like look at, oh, a tutorial says to do this. It's like the tutorial can say, oh, you just go from this to this, but a lot of the times, unless you're watching somebody do it and they're describing why they're doing it, it's kind of hard to follow.
No, but I'm more talking about the fact that there's a bunch of artists on Instagram that have never competed in competitions. They're
Hmm.
really, really good at making pictures of their models. And they do not convey the actual look of the model. They convey a well taken picture, if that makes sense.
I got you.
God damn.
I think that's those. That's that color.
Give me a second. I'm hearing people outside. It's like, who the fuck am I hearing? Mm-mm. I also feel a lot of people don't talk much about the amount of pressure you need to apply in order to apply lines,
Hmm.
which I feel is
Are
like
you saying it's like more pressure than they think or less?
it's more the idea of how much pressure you need to apply in order to drop the paint off the brush.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's like half the work basically.
I got you.
I don't know if you're watching, but basically what I'm doing is I'm just looking at all the values and I keep pushing it one way and then the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like I need to expand here or there, but you can already see the beginnings of the whole NMM on the blade.
Yeah, especially with like that the shine along the S curve of like the bevel of the blade.
Yeah, this
Like you
end,
see
yeah.
like the dark to the light.
I'm brightening up the edge on this end because the blade is basically leaning inward. So much more of the blade would be like touching the light.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just scratching this on. It's not even, it's like proper blending or anything. Basically, what I mean with you gotta respect the reflections from the same angles. If my highlight is over here and over here, which is basically like the same area, you see here it curves up again, where it basically becomes a highlight again. You got to do the same with the rest of the, like the lettering on the side, for example.
Right.
Stuff like that, you got to bring it out as well. And then you got to do it from the same angle. So basically what you're doing is the highlight comes from this direction. So from here, that means that these ends of the letters will be highlighted brightest. So the bottom side.
Mhm.
For the shadow side, I mean, you can blend that as well, but I mean, we're not trying to make a full-time art. We want to make the side that this is a tabletop piece, so you just want it to be believable. God damn. Gosh darn it.
Jesus, man.
Big gummit.
You see how it's turning more and more like something metallic?
Yeah, I'm noticing that it's almost like one side will inevitably be brighter than the other.
Yeah.
And you're using that using like the light to dark contrast to sort of accentuate the shine.
Yeah, and basically with the flat surface, you can control the light by just pushing the pigments either one way or the other. But it's metallic and it's reflecting quite sharply, so the only shadows would really be around the edges. Sorry, I'm sneezing. Yeah. Oh God. Okay, I think I'm back.
You good?
Oh God, I really covered from my toes.
Nice.
It's really tiring. Uh, uh. Anyway, basically, I'm pushing the pigments either way in order to make it communicate the idea that I've got.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just using the mixture on my palette continuously. And I'm just scratching it on.
Mm-hmm.
And by scratching it, you're already giving it a bit of that worn look. Stippling, scratching, whatever. It's also a lot of painting across, like, over on top of other colors, basically. That I've put down already. But then again, like golden flats really lend themselves for this type of painting because they have a bit of opacity to them. The memories of my mind. Because there's an edge over here, you can highlight the whole thing and then refine it. Because I'm using kind of a glaze to highlight this white, and then refine it by putting down either more layers or an unthinned white.
Mm-hmm.
Take me with you. Ba-da-do-bo. I'm gonna do some highlighting soon, and then some scratches, and call it a night because I can barely breathe properly.
I mean, you gotta breathe the paint. It's kind of important.
Yeah, you gotta huff it and puff it, you know.
Yeah.
Puff, puff, pass.
The classic.
Huff it and puff it, pass it to the next one.
Oh, dude, we we had a friend of ours that made puff puff pass like his life motto.
Oh no.
We used to smoke together, and then he'd always be the one that would, as soon as somebody would hold on to it, he'd always go like, hey, dude, puff, pass, man, come on, hand it to the next one, dude, fucking chill, bro.
I will then give it to the next person.
Jesus.
Hey man, stop hogging all the good stuff.
Do you know General Sam on YouTube? Please say yes.
General Sam. I don't know it by name, but if I saw a video, I'd probably recognize it.
He did a lot of Tarkov content back in its prime.
General Sam. Oh my god, this guy. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
He is like the only dude on YouTube that whenever he has a new video out, I actually genuinely take the time to watch it.
Mhm.
But he has some videos that he's recorded where he's had some edibles. And he's so fucking hilarious because he subtly keeps referencing it in his word picks and stuff like that. It's so good.
That's great.
He's also just, fucking
He's
hilarious.
funny. Oh yeah, 100%. I don't watch his stuff too often, but whenever I do see it, it's a fucking trip every time. Especially his Tarkov content.
Oh god, it's so good. Such a fucking legend.
I like how one of his videos from a month ago is the internet's rarest meat salesman.
Yeah.
Picture of a fucking rat on the fucking Oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ. I like one of the videos of our armor reforger. Some guy gets shot and he's like, "Hey man, do you need help?" And he looks over like, "Hey, this is telling me this is non-service related. Sorry, I can't help you." Oh god, that's good.
Alright, I'm gonna take. I mean, it looks metallic already, right?
It does. I'd say it's pretty much there. The only thing that I personally see missing is like the shadow from the light in in the places I'd want to see them, but I don't know what kind of silver you're going for.
It's basically just worn metallic.
Okay.
And I'm also trying to keep it simple, so the other patrons can keep following along because basically this is like the the first steps towards. However, adding the scratches. Give me a second.
Yeah, I think like in terms of micro scratches, I think there's like what some people do is they'll take a very like thin like brush
Ink.
and they will like add like very specific visible scratches.
Yeah.
It's not just within like the color paint or like the when you paint it. It's like a very specific look. Although I do think that you can overdo it, and I think it looks kind of cheap if you use too much of it.
No, you want to keep it believable.
Keep it real, G.
Hello?
Hey, Zaku.
Oh, he's
What's
cool.
up?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm so glad I finally beat this cough.
I can imagine.
You too, huh?
We're all dying.
3 weeks, bro.
Damn.
My mom's on month 4.
She thinks she's part of a competition.
Yeah. Well, she's going in for CT scans.
Really? That serious, huh?
They don't know what it is. They can't, like, we've, I still have the cough a little bit, but it's in the throat. There's no phlegm. It's just the cough. And then, like, I had a serious fever every night, only during the night, never during the day.
Fucking weird.
Um, the tubes that connect my sinuses and my ears, you know, the whatever tubes they call them, I don't know what they call them, stationary tube or whatever.
St. Eustatius.
Yeah, they're plugged, so everything sounds like I'm underwater.
Fucking weird.
Yeah, so they don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what the hell's going on, and they just put me on antibiotics and are like, "Good luck."
Don't die now, bye.
Basically,
And if you die, it's not our fault.
I'll find a way to make it their fault
Mm.
and make it their problem.
Oh, yeah.
See what I
What
mean?
model is that axe guy from?
This
It
is
looks like a.
Chaos Chosen for Age of Sigmar.
Slaves of Darkness.
Slaves!
Slaves of Darkness.
You got 20
I
rats.
do like that faction.
Never feel more fire. And the guns grow tired.
You heard their new album yet?
Dude, I was gonna respond to it, but I was so fucking ill. But the moment I stayed up the night it came out. You were like 2 days
That
too
first
late,
that
bro.
first song, 8-minute song, I was like,
Oh,
what the fuck?
Look windward. Yeah, look to windward. So good.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. NMMX.
Hell yeah.
Hey.
That's
I'll
really
probably do the other end this week and do it as a separate video.
Mm. So, when doing something like this for tabletop stuff, you want to have like the light side and then the dark side because that's just how light. Do you want to have a lot of the secondary reflections on the other side?
If you're doing tabletop stuff, you
Yeah, like-
just make it believable. That's about it.
Okay, like just like tabletop quality, like you're trying to do it as fast as humanly possible, with while keeping it look decent.
Yeah, then you don't bother with secondary stuff.
No.
Okay.
Too much time, too much effort.
Like I would do this for a leader model, but never for like multiple chosen.
Like at that point, if you're doing tabletop, you just do true metallics, right?
Well, true metallic would be the fastest way to get like a believable effect.
Right.
But if I have like a leader type model, and I have the time, then I'll just take my time and make it look non-metallic metal.
Gotcha.
But the only thing you got to keep in mind now that you're viewing a 3D model now through a 2D lens.
Mhm.
The light is coming from this direction.
Mhm.
So that's basically the only thing that you want to make look good.
Gotcha.
You don't want to go ham with it.
So believable, not over the top,
Fast.
and yeah, time efficient.
And
And
then pick one like focal point, like a bright energy
Yeah.
color or something.
Mhm.
Which you also got to keep in mind if you want to, because now the rest of the model is basically breaking up the non-metallic to look even. I mean, it looks believable, but it the rest of the model is kind of distracting. But would we paint the rest of the model now and make this handle look, for example, non-metallic metal copper? Then you end up moving more towards this idea, where the rest of the model communicates the same idea.
Mm.
So you gotta be a little bit like non-metallic metal of almost all the paint styles and paint modes. What you always gotta keep in mind is it's finished when the last strokes hit the model.
Mhm.
Perfect.
So yeah, this is it. And as always, if you guys have any questions or anything else, just let me know. But now I will be leaving you because I can barely breathe and my head is pounding like crazy. I'm alone with the kids tomorrow.
Ooh. Yeah, man,
That's
take
fine.
it easy. You sound kind of rough.
Yeah. I'm getting a little help from my mom, but seeing as last night the youngest was basically up every hour,
Hmm.
I am going to leave you, Jens B. Also, a notification for the future. I'm going to keep you guys posted, but I applied for the teacher position.
Hmm.
The missus has gotten a job, so there will
Oh,
be
nice.
there will be some stuff that will change.